We'd like to welcome you to the Utah State Board of Education board meeting. And we're going to take a roll call to check on our board members. Board Member Booth. Board Member Cannon.
Good morning.
Good morning. Board Member Klein.
Recording in progress.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Board Vice Chair Davis. Let's see her. Board Member Earl.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello. Board Member Hanson.
Good morning.
Oh, you are here. There you are. Thank you. Board Member Hart. She said present. I just saw her say it. Board Member Chair Huntsman.
Good morning.
Thank you. Board Member Hutchings. Board Member Hymas.
I'm here.
I see you. Board Member Lear.
I'm here.
Good, thank you. Board Member Moss.
I'm here. Morning.
Good, thank you. Board Member Norton.
Hello.
Hello. Board Member Straight.
Good morning.
Good morning. Vice Chair Davis, I see you. Just let me see Board Member Booth, Board Member Hutchings. Okay. Chair Huntsman has asked that I chair this portion of the meeting. And as authorized by Utah Code 52-4, this meeting is being held electronically without an anchor location for safety reasons due to the construction at the location where the public body would normally meet. I'm taking a bit of point of privilege. I'm not going to 1.1 first, Board Member Moss, but I want to pull up a slide on our new employee and to welcome Kelsey James. Can somebody pull that slide up, please? I don't know who's pulling it up.
Sorry, Vice Chair. It's pulling it up right now. Just trying to get my computer to cooperate.
If we can't get it, we can move on without it. I know how to work around technology. Kelsey James is our new communications coordinator, and we're very happy to have her. We will send that slide out so that you can see some of her background and get to know her a little better. But welcome, Kelsey. We're very happy to have you as part of our team.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will move on to 1.1 board member message. Board Member Moss.
Thank you, Vice Chair, and I'm happy to share a few thoughts. I want to talk about some things that I really have enjoyed in the last month or so being a member of this board, and this is not scripted, but I have a few notes that I'd like to read off and just kind of reference some things and highlight great work that's being done in our state. I'll just share briefly one of my favorite education books, and I heard about this when I was living in LA, and I've shared that I did an ed degree out there at USC and got to meet with a lot of inner city school leaders. One of them that I heard about was a teacher named Rafe Esquith, who worked at Hobart Elementary, and some of us have talked about this. His book was called Teach Like Your Hair's on Fire, and it was titled from an experience he had where he was doing a science experiment and didn't realize he was having so much fun because the kids were so into it. He didn't realize until one of the kids started screaming that his hair was on fire, and he just said, that's when you know you're where you need to be and you're doing it right, when you're so engaged and the kids are so engaged that you don't notice your own hair is on fire. So there's a lot of that happening in Utah, and I wanted to talk about a couple elements that excite me. So back when I was in high school, and my parents were involved in education, this board came out with a commitment to realigning the education system. And we're doing a lot of that. I just wanted to do a flashback to talk about how it was set when I started hearing about this back in the 80s, and then talk about some of the good things that are happening now. So this was kind of an age of trying to get out of the industrial system. Nation at Risk was out there, and this board had a document that talked about the role of the student. Said in the current reformed industrial model school, students are primarily passive participants in the education process. They are at the end of the line as receivers of material that has been reviewed, approved, packaged, and presented by others. While they have some choice as to class schedules in the high school years, their degree of involvement in planning their education direction is low. In a student-focused system, students will become full partners with teachers and parents or other adults in assessing needs, making plans, setting goals, and reviewing results. A personalized student education plan could be created for each individual, and the student himself or herself would be a key person both in drawing it up and monitoring progress. Individual learning plans would take into consideration the linguistic, cultural, ethnic, and economic burdens that some students carry, as well as individual learning ability and learning rates, recognizing that all students are in some way at risk. So the good news is in 30 years since that has happened, or that analysis was given, we have made great strides in building a system and building learning around students. And I had the chance to go out with some of our staff to Juab and Timpanogos this last month and see the work they're doing to personalize the approach to each of their children. At Juab, they have Portrait of a WASP, which builds on our own Portrait of a Graduate. They focus on individual learning paths. They talk about changing from point chasing to evidence of mastery. And they have a learning environment document that I just want to share because I thought it was inspiring. It says students are empowered through a learning environment that is safe and positive. Challenges are embraced, risks are encouraged, learning from mistakes is celebrated. Students will develop a sense of voice, ownership, and self-determination. And it was a thrill to see those kids actually engaged in that process. One of them I think it was at Juab, was reading the Great Gatsby. No, I'm sorry, let me skip to Timpanogos on that one. They were the ones doing Gatsby. So Timpanogos is focused on deep learning. And that for them is the 6 C's of creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, citizenship, and character. They build these skills and dispositions as part of moving forward in their academic goals. And I talked to a couple of kids that were reading the Great Gatsby. They talked about how they applied the 6 C's to Mr. Gatsby, determined how he was doing in living out those 6 C's. And then they also talked about how the process was developing their own capacity in those areas. So again, very inspiring work. And those 2 principals are terrific leaders. They have at Timpanogos, a similar document, talks about their cultural conditions for deep learning. And they talk about trust, which they describe as psychological safety and candor, not being viewed as a mandate, freedom to experiment and take risks, permission to make mistakes, pursue goals and pedagogy, and that it's sustainable and authentic. So I think those great leaders are doing the kind of things that were called out, decades ago and moving this forward. In addition to personalizing the individual learning process in the classroom, we have opportunities, and we've made a lot of strides in providing flexibility in the system itself. So both in the micro and the macro level, there are opportunities to personalize education so that it's driven by students and their parents. Quick quote from Michael Fullen. I won't do a lot of quotes here, but I appreciate him. And Principal Jensen is one who has always sent me Fullen material. So Fullen talks about if systems are to create total teachers and total schools, they need to grasp the realities of empowerment. These principles of connectedness and of real, not cosmetic empowerment underpin our guidelines for school boards, guidelines which will build the capacity of teachers and schools to take the innumerable daily actions necessary to make a difference. Our guidelines are develop more trust and risk as a system, especially in selection, promotion, and development process, and foster increased interaction and empowerment in the system. So that's shifting from micro to macro. There's 2 bills that came out of the legislative session last year that I'm excited to see implemented. One of those is Representative Welton's bill, HB 386, which will empower teachers at the classroom level to innovate with student and parent buy-in. And Senator Fillmore's SB 191 will empower schools to innovate at the school level, initiated by teachers or community councils and parents with board approval. That now gives the schools the opportunity to customize and innovate in school staffing, curriculum assessment, class scheduling, use of financial and other resources, faculty recruitment, employment, employee evaluations, and compensation. So as I went back to where I started with Rafe Esquith, he'd run into some barriers in wanting to customize how he was serving these kids. What he ended up doing was altering a few things and having 5th graders perform complete Shakespeare plays and take it on the road. I went to my 5th graders play. It was wonderful. It was a celebration of everything they had done. It takes a whole other level of creativity and innovation to talk about having a full Shakespeare play. It's almost kind of insane. So I greatly appreciate that both of those are different ways to engage students. And sometimes they require some innovation and empowerment. And I think I'm excited about the idea that USBE is in the business of empowerment, that we empower people at the school level, the classroom level, and ultimately for parents and students to learn and grow in their own way and to chart their own course within our education system. So thank you, and I'm very grateful to be part of this board that supports the great work that the people out there in the field are doing in all the varied ways that they do it. And it was a thrill to see another year come to an end with all the celebration and close out, and especially my last one just finished elementary school. So that's a very sad day, but I'm so grateful for our school up here, Midway Elementary, that has done so much, both in innovation and inspiring these kids to think about who they are and where they want to go. So thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Moss. We appreciate that. I also, when you were talking about these celebrations, it reminded me that Board Member Hutchings is actually at her daughter's graduation this morning. And so she will be joining us after the graduation. So I just wanted to note that. Okay, we will go on to 1.1, our education highlight, and we'll turn it over to our Director of Strategic Communications, Ryan Bartlett, and our Board Communications Coordinator, Kelsey James.
Good morning. I had the opportunity to go out with Kelsey James and Alex to visit 4 outstanding students in Utah. And I'm going to highlight those here in just a second in this video, but I just wanted to add, these are some of the most amazing students I've met with. Their goals and their aspirations and the things they've done just thoroughly impressed me. And it was great to go out in the field and actually see what students in Utah are doing. And I'm sure you'll quickly realize when I start showing this video how impressive and extraordinary these students are.
I'm Christina Howell. I teach at Logan High School. I teach science, mainly chemistry, and I've been teaching for 5 years. The first thing that comes to my mind about Gary is perseverance. He is one where he does not shy away from challenges. He will work hard and know how to balance all of his extracurricular activities along with rigorous classes. Another thing that stands out in my mind with Gary is that even though he is extremely talented, he's not afraid to get advice from teachers and from the peers, and that is a trait that serves him really well.
I'm Gary Jean. I'm in 12th grade right now at Logan High School. The one thing I think is really great about Mrs. Howell is she's really, really dedicated. So having to help us with science fair and having to teach classes of her own and also manage them requires a lot of dedication. And that's something I really respect and admire in her. Another thing I admire is her patience. So having to deal with so many different students on so many different occasions, that requires a lot of patience, which is something that I think is really important.
I have taught many talented students, and Gary stands out in my mind. I would say that while not only does he take rigorous classes, he also has gotten involved with a lot of extracurricular activities at the school as well as the community. I've been impressed. I'm the science fair advisor, and he has been doing research since a freshman, even in middle school, and he has balanced that with all of his classes. He's even shared his passion for STEM while he started up a STEM club at Logan High as well as a local elementary school.
My name is Jeff Long, and I am a theater teacher here at Logan High School. I've been teaching here for 16 years. And what I think makes Zoe such a great and exemplary student is in a program where, this is presidential scholars, right, that represent the whole country. And I think what makes her a great student for that is her ability to not just be knowledgeable and have answers and things like that, but how to use that and apply it in a lot of different areas in ways that make the world a better place. and that she will think deeply about those things. And it seems with Zoe that it comes from a genuine place of doing that, rather than like a place of like, I want to say an intelligent thing to be president so I can get into college, or do you know what I mean? Like, with Zoe, it feels very genuine that she's really thinking about these things, concerned about the world large. I think that's what it's like. So great.
Hi, I'm Danji Zoe Liu. I'm a 12th grader at Hillcrest High School. I would say that the thing that stands out most to me about Mr. Long is the time and energy that he puts into this program and this department. And also there's this thing that he always tells us, which is that his job as a teacher and what he believes his role is to help us become the adults that we want to be. And I think that's really like the core focus of what he does at this school. Like the reason why he puts so much time and effort and energy into us students isn't because like, isn't like putting on great shows is obviously really great and like a nice thing, but I think the core of that is like how these shows can help us as students become better people, become better adults, and understand ourselves and the world around us better. He's definitely, I think, the teacher who spent the most time at school. And there is like not a single time that I like don't walk into the parking lot and his car is still there. It's like forever there. And I think that's really just like this way of showing just how much time and effort and love he puts into what he does. That really just goes above and beyond anything you would normally expect out of a teacher.
My name is Jenny Nicholas, and I teach at West High School. This is my 21st year of teaching. I currently teach government and theory of knowledge, part of the IB program.
My name is Malavika Singh. I go by Mala, and I'm a senior here at West High School in Salt Lake City. I would describe Miss Nick as extremely thoughtful. As my extended essay supervisor, she was always paying a lot of attention to both me in an academic way and on a personal level, making sure that I was satisfied with the routes that I was traversing in my essay and kind of the ideas I was exploring. And then as well in her class, I think she pays a lot of attention to her students and really makes the environment very fun and bright.
Mala is an incredible student and the whole school kind of knows that. I mean, she just is known and recognized and really well liked because her extreme level of intelligence and her hard work is not something that's flaunted, but it's just something that is a part of her. She's super friendly to the other students. She's supportive to the other students. And she has a sincere desire to know things. It's not about grades. It's not about GPA. It's not about test score, but she pursues knowledge as an independent learner and truly just wants to have a better grasp of what it is that she's studying. So that's really admirable with students this time. It's pretty inspiring. I think also these scholars are passionate and in whatever field that they're interested in. So we have a lot of diversity here at our school and a lot of different interests and students that just individually branch into all sorts of different areas and do it with so much passion. And Mala with dance in particular is extremely, well, not even just dance, but so many areas that are a passion for her. But the travels that she takes every summer to India to study one-on-one with a professional in this extremely rare form of dance.
I was really lucky to have a really supportive group of friends and counselors. Like there's some people up in our office who I will just swing by every day, and they're always very supportive and help me find opportunities. So I do think there's also luck. But in terms of like my schedule, I would say on a daily basis, I usually after school, I volunteer for a local dance nonprofit called Chitradravya Dance, which aims to bring in and present guest artists from really around the world. A lot of them are in the US, of course, and that was difficult during the pandemic, but I'm helping them start to bring in more artists and present them, especially of diverse dance forms and other art forms as well. So that's a board that I work with quite often. Aside from that, I do spend a lot of my time practicing my dance form and conditioning for it. I'm also a big pet lover, so I volunteer a lot with best friends and also just helping out my own community around me.
My name is Robert Fox. I'm the GTI computer science teacher. I teach all the career and technical education courses like Linux, security, A+ computer repair. I also teach a gaming fundamentals class. Basically, I teach your primary computer curriculum that allow you to get a certification and go out into the world and hopefully get an entry-level job.
I'm Alan Lowe, and I go to Skyline High School.
Mr. Alan Moe exemplifies a presidential scholar, which is why he won the award. And those qualities are a balance of all different things, just not school aptitude and excelling academically, but maybe an interest in sports, an interest like Alan has in orchestra and music, an ability to help others, putting other people before himself, which he does. These are all important qualities. Alan participates fully in the class. He just doesn't listen to my lectures and do the coursework. He's actively involved. If a student next to him has a problem, he offers to help. I don't even have to ask Alan to help. He just does it naturally. I would say what I'm trying to say is if a student has a balance of the full realm of what we're trying to achieve in life, they are an excellent candidate for the presidential scholar.
Right now, things are kind of leveling off because it's the end of the year. But during like the beginning or middle of the year, I have to wake up at 5 to get in school at 6 every morning, and then we have like 20 hours of swimming a week, like up to 20 hours. And then I also have to do orchestra rehearsals after school, and also I'm on NHS, so we have to do service hours for that. And then in Mr. Fox's class, I have to study for the certifications for the end of the year, and there's a lot of material and such. So that's kind of what I've been doing most of my time, is studying those.
I would say he's the real deal. He's the full package. He's not just a dream student. He's a dream person. He exemplifies everything that all of us want to be. He's the full package. He's just a wonderful person. You know, if you subtract all his academic achievements, which we don't want to do, they're tremendous. The core of Alan is a wonderful, nice person. And you never forget that after you've met him even one time.
So I had the opportunity to, at the end of each of the interviews with these 4 scholars, to ask them what they're planning to do now after they graduate. Some of them have started nonprofits and want to continue to work with that. Some of them are going off to Ivy League schools. Just speaking with them and knowing they're getting to know them a little bit and hear about their routines and how much effort and dedication they put into everything they do. It's just so apparent that all 4 of these students are going to go on to live extraordinary and impactful lives. So thank you.
Thank you. If we could applaud for all of them, we would. Yeah, there you go. We so appreciate these young people and this group being presidential scholars. So thank you, Kelsey and Ryan. I think Alex went also too on that.